So, continuing the best villains series, let's talk about the Borg. In my last video, I shared the possibly unpopular opinion that the best villains are the ones that cannot be beaten. And in season 2 of Star Trek: The Next Generation, we are introduced to an antagonist that was exactly that, unbeatable. The Borg. So maybe you remember, maybe you don't, but in the episode Q Who, the entity Q thought Starfleet, and in particular the Enterprise, were getting a little too big for their britches, and he thought it would be a good idea to bring them down a peg or two. And with the snap of a finger, Q sends the Enterprise 7,000 light years away and into the path of the Borg, a collective of half humanoid, half machine people that sort of acted as one. And what the writers got right with this episode / villain was the fear that was sown throughout the episode. For starters, we're dealing with Q, who I could probably devote an entire video to. This guy is just unhinged and wreaks havoc at every encounter. But anyway, getting back to the Borg, we learn a few things. Their main objective is to absorb other civilizations' technologies and advancements into themselves and just obliterate anything left over. They don't leave anything behind. And the character Guinan is there in this episode to give us incredibly stressful yet simultaneously vague details to the captain regarding the Borg. And if it were real life, you would probably just ask her to leave the room. But for this episode, it really served to increase the dread you feel about the Borg. Making the Borg's ship a perfect cube was just a stroke of genius. It illustrates without words how just painfully practical and void of anything sort of frivolous like design or artistry the Borg are. And this unnatural practicality is also shown when members of the Enterprise beam onto the Borg, and the Borg just ignore them. They're just no threat at all. And anytime a monster shows how little of a threat you are to them, it can be unsettling. And for the most part, the Enterprise wasn't a threat. You could hit them once or twice with a phaser and they would adapt and block. They could beam onto the Enterprise with no resistance. Damage from photon torpedoes would be repaired before their eyes or just blocked altogether. But above all, the Borg could not be reasoned with. They could not be reasoned with. Like, talk about just the true definition of just alien. You couldn't threaten them with anything. They didn't need your cooperation to get what they wanted. So any fight you put up was just ineffectual. So all in all, I think it was almost a perfect villain. This is just all my take. Later on in the series, they do new things with the Borg. We learn through the Borg Q that individual members can be extracted and start to act independently. We're introduced to the Borg Queen that sort of goes against what we originally knew of the Borg, which is that they were just a collective. Just all sorts of things happen. So let me know what you think. Would you say these additions to the Borg story serve to make the Borg more ominous? Or did it take away from the novelty of the Borg? Let me know in the comments.